My name is Daniel Mehaffey. I am the owner and founder of From the Ashes. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I've been working in fashion for the last 7 years of my life. For me, it was always something that I had thought about as a child. It was not necessarily having a brand, but ultimately loving what fashion was. For me, as a young child, I was just really into dressing just in my own way. I had my own style. I always loved being able to have the newest tee or kicks, or I was always looking to express myself in a way that was different from, people that were around me. But ultimately, I didn't put together that there was something more than that at that time. From the Ashes actually didn't come to me as far as the idea of owning my own brand and design in general and just creating from scratch. Probably until I was about in my early 20s, I had really kind of put together this idea of wanting to be able to build something that was a little bit bigger than me. And so From the Ashes was really born from that idea and that concept of wanting to create my own clothes and put it out into the world. Breaking through was like really interesting. It was something that when I had thought of this idea that I wanted to have a brand, but not just a brand, design clothes, like to really get through to this idea of sourcing fabrics, cutting, sewing, designing something original, drawing, getting to the point to where at some point in my career, having a runway, doing something more than that idea and that concept just wasn't really there. A lot of people that I was around at the time were just really focused on the idea of not really going down the creative path. So there was a lot of that where it was difficult just trying to break through and tell people that I wanted to do this and have it being taken seriously. As you're young and you're trying to figure these things out, you don't maybe have your relationships and you don't have the resources. Being able to try to do something when you don't really know where to go is challenging. And so I don't have any formal background in fashion. So for me, I was self-taught. I bought books. I really kind of just grasped a hold of ideas from, different culturally, different celebrities that I really enjoyed, different musicians, different artists, and then really deciding that I was going to try and make something truly unique to myself. The name From the Ashes actually kind of came from a failed idea, which was a completely different name for my brand. In fact, I had a completely different trajectory of what I wanted to do and the name of the brand that I wanted. And going through this process of learning and not really knowing that next step, the idea of this name From the Ashes kind of came into my life in a way that I didn't think about in the moment. I just thought it sounded really cool. I had really kind of pushed forward on the idea of it feeling a little bit dark or a little bit grungy, and having kind of like a cool message behind it, but not really seeing how much it actually was going to impact my life in such a way that I was going to essentially have that walk of rising from the ashes, so to speak, in my career as a designer. Most of the time when people hear From the Ashes, they almost connect it to this rising from the ashes, right? This moment that I feel like just as humans we're all faced with at some point or another in our life, whether it's the moment you decide what you're really going to do, you've overcome something incredibly challenging in your life, the adversity that you face, but you made that decision that you were going to push through and get to the other side. And when you finally come out of it, just having that kind of like almost like that victory in the sense of like knowing that you did it, it's a sense of pride, it's a sense of accomplishment. And so that is truly me. Like that's in this story of like, I had actually about 6 years ago started From the Ashes, and I was in a position in my life where I didn't have the connections and the resources, and there was a lot of pressure on me from friends and people around me to see something. And so I had basically with just the limited resources that I had, decided that I was going to just compromise, and just in the sense of just like I was gonna print shirts. I just need to sit down and just do what I can do, and even if that means I'm compromising or I'm giving up from one thing or one small thing here or there, that I'm still just I'm doing what other people want. They're gonna see this brand come out. And what it led to was that I was printing t-shirts out of a garage, you know, and I had no real, I would say I wouldn't have a ton of presence as far as like people super interested, and I was just kind of going off this hope. When I actually went to drop these shirts, and this is back in like 2016, it did not do well, and it really kind of crushed me in this moment of seeing the lack of sales, seeing the lack of response, and ultimately at that exact same point, I was faced in this position of life of where I was living in Orange County when I was printing these shirts. I had no ability to stay in the apartment I was in. I had no money. I maxed out my credit cards and had to move back in with my parents up in Northern California. And it felt so defeating and crushing in that time. But in a roundabout way, what was so special about it was the fact that it allowed me to see what I did wrong. It allowed me to understand that I did rush, I did compromise, and that there is always a way to get something done. And so I was kind of faced with going back to the drawing board, and that's exactly what I did. I came back to Northern California, and I started going through social media, and I just so happened to find somebody that was an incredibly talented pattern maker and sewer and had the skills that I didn't have. And so I reached out to this individual, and from that we were able to start building the samples, and we were able to actually start creating. I was drawing, I was learning how to take measurements, I was learning how to be able to source fabric and what's important in that. And you know, it took 4 or 5 years, and this is while I'm also working a different job and also trying to build this company. Ultimately, it wasn't until about a few years ago when I moved from Northern California back to Southern California that I had the opportunity to really invest more into this and to really focus on getting it pushed out and done correctly. And that was all the difference in the world. And so from that, I tell you this story because it is truly something that's like, there's no straight line path. There's so many things that can happen. But ultimately, if you have that spirit inside of you to push through and to show people what you want in your life, anything can be done, anything is possible. And so that's the full embodiment of what From the Ashes is. The design language of From the Ashes is, it's dark, it's open silhouettes. I don't have anything that's really restrictive. I want it to flow. I want it to kind of fit the shape of the person wearing it. I use predominantly terries, cottons, things that have high weights to them. I'm a huge believer of just like the quality of the fabric, the sustainability of the fabric, and then that on its own telling a story. But then two, I love hardware, I love jewelry. It's like, that is a huge part of my design language is exaggerated hardware. Things that are kind of larger than life, they're kind of youthful, they're playful, but it's complemented by like these oversized drapey silhouettes that just kind of feel a bit more grungy. I really want to marry that idea of having kind of like that darker, grungier look and feel, but it's elevated. For me, I grew up a hardcore kid. I loved metal, I loved the underground scene, I loved alternative rock, people that were larger than life characters. And really, for me, culturally, what impacted me the most, and it was kind of this moment where I was like, I want to be able to also put my art out there, was that there were other designers that were actually really taking off in about 2016, 2017. And it was a really kind of beautiful time through like social media and culture where streetwear and designer wear was really kind of seeing this new life. It had this new look on it that the world of youth, young guys, young girls that loved these designer brands could buy it, they could obtain it. It was kind of something that was never really a thing. It was more taboo than anything. So through that, I really was inspired through all of these different people that were wearing such unique outfits and clothes, and it really pushed me forward in what I thought to be, which was what I was comfortable in wearing. And then from there, being able to push myself creatively to see, how I could elevate and change my style. And so that was all done through just what the world of social media looked like. It was what the world of celebrities were wearing at that time. It was what different influencers through Instagram were wearing. And so like it really put together this idea that you can be incredibly expressive in how you dress no matter where you are in the world. To me, it's telling an incredible story. I feel like within the world of design, the world that we live in through these big brands now, that sometimes there's just a lack of hearing the story or the passion behind why something is created. For me, I do believe that like in the sense of like the experience, the touch, the feel, the interaction with that, to know that quality, it stands to the price of the garment. To me, it's incredible. I want people to not only just see it, feel it, experience, but then fall in love with the story of why that piece is in existence, why I decided to make it. So different from like a design label, which going more into like an aesthetic that I kind of classify the brand is that I do believe that it's something that's solely original to where I am as a designer. It's something that's not overcomplicated. It's something that is in its own presence just there, but then you have the opportunity to have and see these playful bits like the big hardware. It's incorporated into everything that I have and will do from this point moving forward. The aesthetic is grunge, the aesthetic is luxury, the aesthetic is dark and drapey. Ultimately, these are the things that kind of really played in because my inspiration comes from all different things in the world. Like as much as I love different cartoons or different anime or different movies or different music, to me, I want it to feel serious but still be fun at the same time. Still have like a playfulness to it, but it's something that can also be easily digested. That's why really within what I'm doing, I truly believe it to be a quiet brand, a brand that's not going to be heavily logoed. I don't want the logo to speak for the brand. I want the garment itself to speak for the brand. I want the design to speak for the brand. I want the hardware to speak for the brand. So these are the things that like more than just a name, I feel like will be the key identifier of what From the Ashes is. We make our clothes in Italy. We make our clothes in New York. We do our best to provide the best when it comes to people making the clothes for us, giving them the best environment they can. We believe in that art. We want to support it. It's something that if this person is sitting down to sew it, that they have the right conditions, that they're happy. And so within that, the quality is also something that is a part of that whole experience too. Going into the new capsule, the collection name is going to be SYZYGY. Really, the names that I have made from the first collection, which was Born from Dust, which I dropped last year, fall, winter, and now SYZYGY for spring, summer. The names of each collection have kind of come from where I really feel like I am in my life with my work and my design. So Born from Dust was this story, not only rising from the ashes, but new birth, new creation. This is the first thing that I'm putting out into the world. It was clean and it was simple. SYZYGY is like the idea of like the planets aligning, the favor, the thing, the energy that brings in, that message brings in, is really where I feel like I am right now, where I'm truly aligned within what I'm doing. And not only the message, but the identity of the brand and what I want people to see from this capsule moving forward. Yeah, I'm really excited about the new collection. I think that it's going to offer so much more variety for people that have seen what I've done in the past, but wanted maybe something a bit more simple, or they were looking for an easier garment to wear. So we have a variety now coming out to where we can offer more.